Hey, it's Abdullah, and here's something you actually didn't know about me. I'm an architect. Not really. I have an architecture degree, but I never really practiced it. But something that I'm truly passionate about is design, and I make a lot of purchasing decisions based on a design-first approach, which is a big reason why I ended up being a Nokia fan in the first place. And the Fabula design language, which was introduced with the Nokia N9 back in 2011, is peak smartphone design in my opinion. But why is that the case? What makes the Fabula design language so special? And even outside of phones, what is it that makes some classic cars still look so appealing even today, while other cars age very badly? In order to answer these questions, we have to go back to the very basics of design. What makes a design good? Renowned industrial designer Dieter Rams talks about 10 key principles of good design. So let's break them down to see how the Fabula design language, specifically the Nokia N9, aligns with these principles. Good design is innovative. When the Nokia N9 was first introduced, I wouldn't be exaggerating when I say it blew almost everyone's mind away when it comes to its design language. From its overall shape to the complete lack of any buttons on the front, it looked fresh, modern, and unlike anything else we've seen at that point. And here's an interesting fact. When Apple was battling Samsung in court over their claims that Samsung copied the original iPhone with the Galaxy S line, Apple used Nokia's design language as a perfect example of how you can create a capacitive touchscreen smartphone that still looks original. Need I say more? Good design makes a product useful. If there was ever a perfect combination of looks and practicality, I think Nokia came very close to it with the Nokia N9. They made the N9 durable, which is something that's very important on a device that you'll be carrying with you everywhere you go. And Nokia didn't compromise on functionality for the sake of design, which is why the Nokia N9 was completely made out of polycarbonate plastic. The material doesn't block any radio or wireless signals that are required for the basic functionalities of a modern smartphone, and at the same time can manage to resist drops quite effectively. And even when the design language of Fabula integrated metal, like on the Lumia 930 for example, Nokia continued to use polycarbonate for the back instead of glass. And on the N9, the sides curve perfectly into your palm, which is a smart way of making the device feel comfortable while also hiding the thickness. Good design is aesthetic. I say this without any qualification. The Nokia N9 is beautiful. Everything about this phone's design exudes elegance and harmony. Lines flow seamlessly into one another, fit and finish is perfect, and the feel in the hand is sublime. Aside from the intentionally squared off top and bottom, there are no straight edges on the N9. It's evocative of supercar design in the way it simply transitions from one curve to another, albeit in the pursuit of a cohesive, unified look rather than aerodynamic excellence. This is a direct quote from Vlad Savov, ex-Verge, in his review of the Nokia N9. And to add to that, the Fabula design language was all about perfect symmetry, which definitely added to the appeal and in my opinion just looks so much better. Good design makes a product understandable. The N9 was one of the first touchscreen slabs with no capacitive or physical buttons on the front. There was basically zero confusing this with anything else. An all touchscreen smartphone. And the main way of interacting with the user interface on the N9, which was Migo Harmattan, was with a swipe. So this particular gesture needed to be as satisfying as possible, which is why the display curves into the body almost seamlessly. And honestly, it's ridiculously satisfying. Yet Nokia kept two physical buttons on the side of the N9, the volume rocker keys and the power button. And these needed to be easily accessible, so they integrated them on the same side and made them within a thumb's reach, at a time when some brands were placing the power button at the top of the device, as if that's ever a good idea. Good design is unobtrusive. While the overall form factor isn't obtrusive, I can actually think a point or two against the N9 in this aspect. And the reason for this is that the micro USB port required for charging was hidden under a flap, which in my opinion is favoring aesthetics over functionality. So every time you wanted to charge the N9, you had to open the flap. And that wasn't always very convenient. This is something that they addressed later on with the Lumia 920, which carries a very similar design language, but fixes this issue. Good design is honest. Fabula's minimalism is the definition of honest design. There are no fake camera bulges here or ridiculously oversized camera openings to make it look like you have a huge sensor. And there definitely isn't some silly text on the back to promote the company's mojo. The device didn't overpromise any aspect and then fail to deliver on that promise. And in a way, it's kind of crazy that Nokia said that this will be the first and last MeeGo Harmattan device during the announcement. Even when it comes to components, the phone came with 1 gig of RAM, which was more than anything else at that time. And not done as a silly dick measuring contest like we see so often these days. It was there because one of MeeGo's key selling aspects was the powerful multitasking. And you definitely need a bit of extra RAM in order to make sure that the multitasking works well. Good design is long-lasting. In order to ensure that the N9 will still look good even after a couple of years of usage, the paint was combined with the polymer of the N9's polycarbonate plastic, which means that even if you scratch through the body, the phone will retain its original color. And polycarbonate plastic is actually better at dissipating heat compared to glass and especially metal, which is definitely something that affects the component's longevity in a smartphone. However, I can still take a couple of points away from the N9 because they used this chrome finish for the camera plate, which easily gets scratched and is the only component on this phone that will look very bad after a couple of years of usage. And even they realized this, which is why on the Lumia 920 they used zirconium, which is scratch resistant compared to chrome. Good design is thorough to the last detail, seeking perfection in every detail. And to that, I'd like to point you out to the machine molded speaker grill on the bottom of the Nokia N9, or how the display is integrated into the body almost flawlessly. And there's so many great examples of this attention to detail that you can find on later Lumias. Good design is environmentally friendly. While I don't have a lot of information about the recyclability of the N9 specifically, Nokia did have a recycling initiative called We Recycle, where you can hand them any of your older phones and they take care of recycling it for you. And the packaging of the N9 is also 100% recyclable. And generally speaking, Nokia was so far ahead of everyone else in this specific domain, which is why I'm happy to see that HMD Global is trying to follow in their same footsteps. Good design involves as little design as possible. Want to know why the Nokia N9's design still looks stunning today? It's because it's a complex shape that's made to look incredibly simple. All the lines that you see are very clear and cohesive. There are almost zero unnecessary design elements here. No overcomplicated lines that break the overall flow of the design, or useless design elements that are just there to create fake differentiation. And for that, this phone will continue to look good even 50 years from now. For the same reasons, a classic Jaguar or Mercedes still looks good even today. And contrast that to what BMW is currently doing with their new concept designs, or what some brands are doing by adding tacky design elements and over-designing smartphones and adding weird lines and shapes. And a great example of that is on gaming phones. Those simply won't age well at all. Unfortunately, the reality of the phone market today means that we will see a lot less unique designs, especially in mid-rangers and budget smartphones. The business culture of relying on ODMs because they are definitely much cheaper than trying to build your own unique molds means that a lot less brands are likely to take a risk. And by the way, a big reason why flagship devices cost the way they do is that they require special manufacturing to accommodate their more unique designs. Something that isn't very sustainable if you're trying to create a budget or mid-range smartphone. And this isn't just a Nokia mobile problem, it's an industry-wide problem. There's no motivation to create something that's truly unique across all price points. And a part of that comes down to how we look and assess these products. As reviewers and consumers focus more on the numbers rather than the experience and the look and feel, we will continue down the same trend. Having said that, there's still definitely room for differentiation, even when relying on ODM partners. And I hope this video explains to you why I was so disappointed when I saw the design of that Nokia G400. It's just so un-Nokia. And as someone who's very passionate about design, that really gets to me. And maybe I am over-exaggerating. At the end of the day, if you want to simplify it, it's just a camera bump that's been moved to the left. And yeah, it's not the end of the world, but I just can't help shake that feeling of bitterness. First world problems, right? Anyway, now I'd like to hear from you. Which phone design do you think aligns perfectly with the philosophies I talked about earlier? And as unrealistic as it is, would you like to see Nokia bring back the Fabula design language? Share your thoughts with me in the comments below. That's it from me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please don't forget to share, like, and subscribe, and I shall see you in the next one.